Hey everyone, been a little while since I've shown my face, I know. Just haven't had a reason to do it, but I wanted to say thank you all for over 800 subs at this point. Like, man, very grateful. Hopefully we hit more milestones. I didn't expect to grow this fast. Now, this is almost a 15-year-old movie. Let that sink in at this point, that the switch to CGI has almost been over 15 years. It will be next month, but that's so hard to believe. I remember seeing this movie promoted. I feel old.
Love it or hate it, it's hard to deny that Thomas and CGI was a fairly big success for what it was, lasting 12 seasons, just as long as the model seasons did. And that realization that the CGI era had like 12 seasons, just as many as the model stuff, made me think, why was Thomas so successful with this kind of transition? Usually changing up something like this that people have known for so long in a certain format doesn't always go the best. Just look at Bob the Builder in comparison. It lasted 16 seasons in stop motion format, and only 2 in its CGI rendition, not counting that reboot, just the original show. However, Thomas lasted just as long in CGI, and for many people, it was a pretty easy flip. So today I wanted to go over why Thomas had a pretty seamless transition compared to its competitors. I think one of the biggest things that sticks out to me is the sense of balance you get watching CGI Thomas. Sure, it's not entirely like the model stuff, obviously, but it takes enough elements from it, but adds its own unique flair to its visual style, to where it still is recognizable, but made the right changes so that it doesn't come off as off-putting. Take Bob the Builder again, I'm going to be using this comparison a lot, in both its reboot and its initial switch to CGI. In its initial switch, it stuck way too close to the stop motion stuff and didn't try to make any of the reasonable changes. Funny enough, Thomas almost found itself in this predicament, but after Nitrogen secured the legal rights to do CGI Thomas, well, you can tell they knew what they were doing. Along with that, you look at the reboot, that went in too far of a different direction in Bob's case and is hardly recognizable. Along with that too, Thomas had a season to work it out with season 12. Very, very bad season, admittedly, but to give them credit, they got to do elements of what did and didn't work, mainly with the facial structure, which I think was the most important thing of all. Because if you look at Thomas, I think the biggest alteration from his model to the CGI format was his face, as that face was never initially made to move, so them having to restructure them all was for the better. I mean, have you seen the Bob the Builder in CGI? Some of those mouth movements look a little weird. I also think a lot of the marketing at the beginning of the show's CGI switchover, it seemed like HIT really did make it a big deal back in the late 2000s. I distinctly remember seeing so many promos making it big, like, yep, Thomas is in CGI. And I feel like with that, they treated it like an event, essentially. And while the quality of content released at the very beginning was admittedly quite poor, it was a clear HIT at least knew from a marketing standpoint how to get Thomas out there. You look at Mattel with how they use Thomas now, and it's like, might as well not even be an IP at all. I guess it also doesn't help that the toys were actually good during this time. Like, man, seriously, look at some of these toys. Remember when this was the given quality and not whatever this is? I think also something I really appreciate is that it just kind of threw you into it. Like, the CGI stuff wasn't generally treated as a reboot. It just knew people know what Thomas is, threw you into the world, and then just carried on as if the model seasons didn't stop. I really appreciate that a lot because, you know, there's so many seasons at that point and way too many episodes. So it didn't throw those out and make you be like, yep, you gotta start all over again. That decision to just not hard reboot in general, I think, really made it a seamless transition. It made it feel like those episodes were still important, you know, especially with how much they'd be referenced starting with season 17 into pretty much the end of the CGI era. And I think in general, all these steps helped make Thomas be able to survive a good decade in the new CGI format. And while we don't know where the future of Thomas is going to go after this all engines go thing, depending on how long it lasts, I wouldn't be opposed to the idea of Thomas returning to CGI in general, but that is just me. You guys can comment down below if you think that's a good or bad idea. But I hope you guys enjoyed me rambling about this. I've been going through CGI episodes again, and I was thinking to myself, it is impressive Thomas lasted 12 seasons in CGI compared to other competitors. So tell me what you guys think below about the CGI era, and thanks for watching.